There is a novel almost nobody has read. It was written in 1965 by the German author Wolfgang Hildesheimer. It is called Tynset. There is no plot, no story arc, no resolution. There is only a man lying awake at night, unable to sleep. And at some point, he picks up a telephone directory. He opens it at random. He reads the names, and he begins to call them. Strangers, people he has never met, names chosen by chance. He is not looking for information. He is not trying to sell anything. He is looking for connection, for the feeling that somewhere on the other end of the line, there is another person who is also awake. He calls and remains in the end completely alone. Hildesheimer was not writing a tragedy. He was writing a diagnosis. His point, made quietly, almost in passing, is that no external action reaches the interior. The man has a telephone. He has a directory. He has the technical means to connect with any of thousands of people. And none of it matters. Because the problem is not the tool. The problem is the thermostat. Hildesheimer kept writing for almost 20 more years after Tynset. And then, in 1984, he stopped. Not because he ran out of ideas, not because he lost the ability, but because he had arrived at what he called Sprachlosigkeit, speechlessness. Not silence, something more precise than silence. The feeling that language itself had stopped arriving anywhere. That words were being spoken and written and published and broadcast, and that none of it was reaching the interior of anyone. He drew the conclusion that a writer of his honesty had to draw. If speaking changes nothing, then the dignified response is to stop speaking. He was 62 years old. He never published another work of fiction. I want to hold that image for a moment, because it is the darkest version of the thermostat argument. Not just that the individual is stuck, but that the entire culture has become stuck. That the channel between expression and reception has closed. And I want to ask, what if he was right about the diagnosis, but wrong about the direction?
Hildesheimer goes further. In the novel, he mentions, almost as a footnote, as examples of the same futility, people who have undergone plastic surgery, people who have changed their legal names. They are not passive, like the man with the telephone book. They are active. They have made a decision. They have changed something real and visible about themselves. But their strategy is the same, just one step removed. They believe that if the outside changes, the environment will react differently, and that reaction will finally reach the inside and change it. A new face, a new name, a new response from the world, and through that response, finally, a new self. Hildesheimer's verdict is quiet and merciless. It does not work. The interior does not receive the signal. Man bleibt, wer man ist. You remain exactly who you are. This is not cruelty. It is observation. Hildesheimer is not telling you to give up.
he is telling you where the door is not.
A decade before Tynset was published, an American plastic surgeon in New York was making the same observation from the other side of the scalpel. His name was Maxwell Maltz. He was good at his work. He repaired faces. He corrected what patients called flaws. And he noticed something that troubled him deeply. Many of his patients, after a technically perfect operation, would look in the mirror and see the same flawed face they had always seen. The nose was different. The self-image was not. Maltz spent years trying to understand why, and he arrived at a concept he called the psycho-cybernetic mechanism, the internal guidance system that regulates what a person believes they are capable of, what they deserve, what they are. He called it, in simpler terms, a thermostat. A thermostat does not respond to what is objectively true. It responds to what it is set to. If it is set to 18 degrees and the room reaches 22, it will cool the room back down. Not because 22 is wrong, but because 18 is what it knows. Hildesheimer had seen the thermostat from the outside. Maltz had found it from the inside. And here is where they diverge.
Hildesheimer stopped at the diagnosis. Maltz asked the next question. If it is a thermostat, can it be reset? And his answer was yes. Not easily, not automatically, not by changing your name or your face or your tools, but deliberately, consciously, by working directly on the self-image, not through the environment, but through the interior. The mechanism that holds you in place is the same mechanism that can move you forward. It is not a prison. It is a setting. This is the override. And this is where AI enters the story. Because right now, in 2025, something has happened that has never happened before in the history of tools. The external barrier has been removed. For most of human history, the reason people did not write, did not build, did not create, did not analyze, did not connect was access. They did not have the tools. They did not have the training. They did not have the time or the resources. That argument is gone. The tools exist. They are available. They are, by any historical standard, astonishing. And yet, the man is still lying awake, still holding the telephone directory, still not moving.
When someone says AI is not for me, what they are usually saying is something more precise. They are saying, if I use this tool and still produce nothing remarkable, then the problem is me. Not the access, not the training, not the resources. Me. That is a terrifying thought. So the thermostat creates a firewall. It finds reasons to stay at 18 degrees. The tool is dangerous. The tool is replacing jobs. The tool is not real intelligence. The tool is cheating. The tool is for younger people. The tool is too complicated. These are not lies. They are not stupid. They are the thermostat doing exactly what it was built to do: protect the current setting. Hildesheimer's man did not stop calling because the telephone stopped working. He stopped because calling was not the problem. He was the problem. And that was unbearable to face. But Maltz gives us the exit. Not through the environment, not through the tool, through the interior. The question is not, what can this tool do? The question is, what do I actually want to build? What is the thing that only I can make? Because only I have lived what I have lived. When you answer that question, really answer it. Not as a fantasy, but as a direction. The thermostat has a new setting. And the tool becomes what it always was: a means, not a destination.
So here is the one thing. Do not ask what AI can do for you today. Ask what you would build if the tools were not the constraint. Because they are not. Not anymore. Hildesheimer was right about the default. Most people stay at their setting. Most people call strangers in the night and wonder why they feel nothing. Maltz was right about the possibility. The thermostat can be reset, not by the environment, not by the tool, by a decision about what you are actually for. But I keep coming back to Hildesheimer's silence. He stopped in 1984 because he believed the channel was closed. That Sprachlosigkeit, the speechlessness, was a permanent condition of the culture. That the cost of speaking had become too high, and the probability of being heard too low for an honest person to continue. He was not wrong about the cost. He was writing in a world where reaching people required publishers, broadcasters, institutions, where the infrastructure of expression was controlled by gatekeepers who decided what was worth amplifying, where a writer in Frankfurt could spend years on a book and have it read by thousands, if he was lucky. That world is gone. In 2025, the cost of speaking has collapsed. Not the cost of having something to say. That was never the problem. And Hildesheimer always had something to say. The cost of the craft, the cost of the form, the cost of getting from the interior to the exterior in a shape that others can receive. AI did not solve the Sprachlosigkeit by giving everyone something to say. It solved it by removing the exhaustion that silenced the people who already had something to say. Hildesheimer stopped because speaking was too expensive. In 2026, it is not. The question he could not answer in 1984 is now answerable. Not by the tool, by you. AI does not change who you are. It reveals it. The thermostat is yours. The setting is yours. The words are yours. Fear not the AI. See you in the next episode.